This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm George Thomas. The movement to pass extreme laws favoring abortion is ramping up. You've heard, of course, about what happened in New York and Virginia. Well, now lawmakers in Illinois and Vermont are considering legislation even more radical than the late-term bill that just passed in New York. Mark Martin joins us now in the newsroom with more. Mark, what's the latest?
George, the Illinois bill would allow an abortion for any reason throughout a pregnancy and would force churches and ministries to include abortions in their private health care coverage. The governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, is leading the drive for this legislation. He's promised to make the state an abortion destination, vowing, quote, to make Illinois the most progressive state in the nation for access to reproductive health care. Legal experts from the Thomas More Society, a pro-life group, have analyzed the bill and found it would allow nurses and physician assistants to perform surgical abortions. It would eliminate any restrictions on where an abortion can take place. It would substantially cut the regulation of abortion clinics. A second bill in Illinois would end the parental notice requirement. Meanwhile, there's a similar bill in Vermont. By a vote of 106 to 36, Vermont state lawmakers passed a bill legalizing abortion anytime for any reason. That bill states every individual who becomes pregnant has the fundamental right to choose to carry a pregnancy to term, give birth to a child, or to have an abortion. It also states the unborn have no rights, saying a fertilized egg, embryo, or fetus shall not have independent rights under Vermont law. Now, there is a pro-life victory to report on, however, this one in Arizona. Conservatives hail an Arizona House Committee decision as a victory that protects newborns and late-term preborn babies from infanticide. And George, LifeSite News reports that the committee voted to deny a bill Wednesday that would have repealed strong legal protections for infants who survive abortion.
Mark, I'm curious, what are pro-life activists doing in response to all these radical pro-abortion bills?
Great question. A grassroots movement of Americans outraged by New York's recent abortion law is turning disgust into action. A nationwide event called Day of Mourning is planned for tomorrow and being simulcast from Albany. Organizers say it will be a solemn time of prayer and repentance for the millions of babies aborted in America. And George, we should mention that in response to the sudden leftist push to legalize late-term abortion, the U.S. Senate will vote this Monday, February 25th, on legislation to mandate care for abortion survivors. Back to you.
Mark, thank you so much for keeping on top of this very, very important story. Peter Breen, a lawyer with the Thomas More Society, joins me now for more on these abortion bills. Mr. Breen, great to have you on the broadcast. What makes this Illinois bill that Mark was just referring to more radical than any other state?
Well, the Illinois bill doesn't just go up to the moment of birth. So during the birth process, you could do an abortion. It also strips away every conscience protection that is expressed in law for abortion for doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals. We've got an Abortion Refusal Act. That would be stripped away. There might be some minimal protections left, but you'd see those wiped away. And what you see in Illinois is, they went beyond New York, because even New York has a health and life exception requirement for post-viability abortions. You know, it's a weak requirement, but you would wipe that away for Illinois. And what we've seen in other states is where the few states where that's been allowed, abortion providers will set up shop near the airport. You'll have people flying into O'Hare to come in for a multi-day late-term abortion. They'll put them up at a hotel near the airport, and then they will send them back to wherever they're from. You combine that with the fact you'll have underage folks coming into Illinois, streaming into Illinois to get abortions, which is what had been going on in 2012 before our parental notice law was in effect. Thousands of women were being brought in from everywhere from Arkansas to Wisconsin, all of the states around us. So you're going to see a return to a very dark time, times 10. In Illinois, if this bill were to pass.
And to that point, Peter, if this passes, will Illinois become an abortion destination, as you mentioned?
It absolutely would. We would become a third trimester abortion destination, because we've seen that in those few states that allowed this. And we would be an underage abortion haven. So, I mean, imagine that confluence of abortion up to the moment of birth on girls as young as 11 and 12. And Illinois just recently allowed for Medicaid funding. So if you can establish temporary residence in the state, the taxpayers are paying for your abortion. And if that doesn't work, then private insurers, churches, religious nonprofits are going to be forced to include abortion in their health plans with no copay. So it's got to be absolutely free.
Can you give us sort of a perspective here? We're seeing extreme abortion bills in a number of states this year. What do you think is motivating abortion rights activists right now?
Well, they had historic gains in suburban areas in 2018. I was in the legislature. I was tossed out in the blue wave in Republican-leaning districts. And so for that reason, they are taking advantage of their newfound majorities, not because the people of these states want radical abortion laws, certainly not here in Illinois, where at one time abortion was illegal prior to Roe v. Wade. This is not a rabidly pro-choice state. And so, but what they're doing is they're taking advantage of this brief period where they have consolidated control in certain states, and they're going to drive pro-life laws out of existence.
And obviously, it looks like they're capitalizing, as you mentioned, on those Democratic gains this past year. Mr. Green, as always, sir, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us your important perspective.
Thank you.
On to other news. President Trump on Thursday celebrated Black History Month at the White House. Speaking to influential African-American leaders, Trump said, quote, African-American leaders, pioneers, and visionaries have uplifted and inspired our country. The president said they've given their hearts, love, and lives to the pursuit of liberty and justice for all.
So we pledge in the honor of our great African-American community to build a future where every American child can live in safety, dignity, liberty, and peace. As Americans, we all share the same dreams, the same hopes, and the same magnificent destiny. We are now and will forever be one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God.
Trump also took the time to point that his administration's successes to help the African-American community with such issues as criminal justice reform and low unemployment numbers. President Trump meets today with China's top trade negotiator. We'll have the latest on their talks and what they mean for the U.S. economy. You can see that tonight on Faith Nation, only right here on the CBN News Channel. Overseas, heightened tensions in Venezuela left one woman dead and a dozen injured near the border with Brazil. A local mayor there says members of an ethnic group clashed with the Venezuelan National Guard and army who were moving tanks to the border with Brazil a day after President Nicolas Maduro ordered the crossing closed. Tons of donated food is at the border waiting to be delivered to the people in desperate need of it. This weekend, by the way, Live Aid-style concerts are scheduled to be held at that border area. Today is day 2 of Pope Francis's sexual abuse summit at the Vatican. Pope Francis says he called the Vatican summit so church leaders would realize he means business. He says it's time to move the church from a culture of silence to exposure. Cardinals attending the summit have called for a new culture of accountability in the Catholic Church.
The point is clear. No bishop may say to himself, this problem of abuse in the church does not concern me because things are different in my part of the world. This is just a problem for the USA or Europe or Australia. This, brothers and sisters, is just not true. I dare say there are cases all over the world, also in Asia, also in Africa. But even if it were true, we are jointly responsible. All of us in this Synod Hall this morning are jointly responsible to tackle the problem of sexual abuse of minors by clerics all over the world.
Francis summoned bishops and religious superiors for the 4-day tutorial on preventing abuse and protecting children. We move east from Italy, where the White House says 200 soldiers will remain in Syria as plans move forward for the withdrawal of some 2,000 troops that are currently serving there. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says they will remain as a peacekeeping force for a period of time. President Trump had been under pressure to adjust his plans. Many had feared a total troop withdrawal would be dangerous for Christians in the region and for the Kurds who helped fight ISIS. Experts hope the move encourages other nations to send peacekeeping forces as well. Palestinians chanting Allahu Akbar stormed a section of a Jerusalem holy site that had been closed for over a decade. It happened during Friday prayers near a sealed-off area of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Palestinians held similar protests, by the way, earlier in the week and clashed with security forces. So, in anticipation of the unrest today, Israeli police arrested some 60 Palestinians overnight who were suspected of causing the violence. Israel closed the section back in 2003 because it was home to a heritage organization allegedly connected with the Hamas terror group. And for more of the latest from the Middle East, watch Jerusalem Dateline at 9:30 p.m. Eastern tonight, only on the CBN News channel. Coming up, Twitter, Facebook, and Apple have endorsed legislation that would make misgendering illegal.
CBN presents The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
We're going to talk about some of the incredible promises God has made to His children.
In Pat Robertson's newest teaching, you'll discover the I Wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation, and see amazing stories of God's promises in action.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Break free from stress and despair.
The Lord doesn't want you to live in fear, but to know the rewards given to those who love God.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit cbn.com. The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphan's Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Twitter, Facebook, and Apple are among 107 major companies that have endorsed federal legislation that would make misgendering a punishable offense. It's called the Equality Act and would extend to all 50 states. Twitter's ban on misgendering and dead naming means users who use pronouns and names that align with a person's biology rather than their professed gender identity will be punished. Critics say these laws give government control over to our freedom to speak the truth. Joining me to discuss the issue is Emily Gao, Director of the DeVos Center for Religion and Civil Society at the Heritage Foundation. Thanks for coming on, Emily. So what kind of problems can a law like this cause?
Well, the Equality Act, the so-called Equality Act, was actually already causing many problems at the state level. So this would be federal legislation that would add sexual orientation and gender identity to the definition of sex in the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And what we've seen with state laws that have done this is that people have already lost their businesses, people like Jack Phillips. We've seen that girls have to have boys in their restrooms. We've also seen that there have been some policies like this that apply to misgendering that have led to firing people from their jobs. So in Virginia, there was a public high school teacher, Peter Blaming, who lost his job over a sexual orientation and gender identity policy because he referred to a female student by her biological sex instead of her preferred pronoun.
Are we seeing a double standard, Emily, on these social media sites on what is allowed to be said and what is being banned?
Absolutely, we are seeing a double standard because what Twitter has done by having a ban on misgendering and what they call dead naming is that they've chosen to side with the transgender movement. And this has unfortunately leading to the erasure of women, because if a man can simply say that he is a woman, then you have no place for biological women anymore. And what we're seeing is that feminists who have protested against these policies of men just saying that they are women have actually been banned from Twitter. So Twitter suspended a Canadian feminist named Megan Murphy from their site because she simply said things like, a man is not a woman.
Would you consider this kind of censoring that violates freedom of speech?
Well, Twitter is a private company, so it's not subject to the First Amendment like the government is. But Twitter should have sensible policies that allow people to choose the pronouns that they use for people. And certainly using pronouns according to biological sex is not something that should be banned. I mean, this is common sense and rooted in biology. And Twitter should not be placing this kind of pressure on people by punishing them and choosing an ideology to promote on their platform. They should focus on things like threats to people, which that's unfortunately what's happening to many of the feminists who protest against the transgender movement. They should be focusing on things like pornography. They should be focusing on dangerous conduct, not choosing an ideology.
Okay. All right, terrific. Emily, thanks so much for giving us perspective on this issue. Emily Gao of the Heritage Foundation. All right, folks, we'll be back right after this. The latest from Tim Tebow in a Studio 5 interview on his new movie and much, much more.
Parents, the Superbook Bible app is a great way to get your child reading the Bible because in today's busy world, we can use some help. The free Superbook Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Discover the I wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I wills of God, the latest teaching from Pat Robertson.
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. Tim Tebow and his brother Robbie are executive producers on a new movie called Run the Race, which hits theaters today. My colleague Ephraim Graham sat down with Tebow to talk about the movie and his recent engagement to a former Miss Universe.
Tim Tebow has gone from Heisman Trophy winner with the Florida Gators to NFL quarterback to minor league baseball player, gearing up for yet another season.
You look at the last 10 years and all the twists and turns that my life has taken, and not a lot of them you could have possibly predicted, but I tell you what, I'm grateful for all of them, even the lows, because I love what I'm doing.
And doing it well, adding filmmaker to his credits with a movie that includes a mention of his beloved Florida Gators.
This is it.
We got the beat! Yeah. It's in our feet! Yeah. It's in our head! Yeah. It's everywhere!
Run the Race recently premiered in Hollywood. With Tebow strolling the red carpet with his new fiancée, Demi Lee Nell Peters, Miss Universe 2017.
And I couldn't be more proud of them.
Thank you. For both of you now, how's the wedding planning going?
I guess that's a question for me.
Yeah, that's more of a question for her.
Well, no, it's going. I think right now we're just, enjoying this moment.
It's a slow process, though. We've been really busy.
It's the Night to Shine and the movie. And
baseball's about to start, so it's been busy. Yes, very busy.
Yeah.
So we'll have to... When we get more time, then we can really work on that. Next steps.
One at
a time. Yes.
The couple made headlines following Tim's surprise and romantic proposal during the Christmas holidays.
First off, congratulations on the engagement.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Great. I love it. I'm happy.
Very, very
nice.
Grateful
she said yes.
Yes, indeed. Hope the planning goes smoothly.
Thank you.
Now, getting back to Run the Race.
I've seen enough football to last me a lifetime. After watching you take that hit last year, your body all locked up the way it was, no thank you, no sir.
A story about the weight of the world and the love of a brother.
The world's not always easy. Society is not always the easiest on us. And so if we can encourage young people in their journey, on their race, then it would be worth it. And so that's really why we started this, was to be able to have them go see a movie and walk away knowing that hopefully being encouraged and inspired, but then also, knowing all the things that this movie tries to share is of, you're not always going to win. You're not always going to come in first. It's not going to be perfect, but you're loved in the process. You're special, and there's a purpose, and a reason for you, and you can pursue your passions. I think it's probably my favorite part about this movie. It's about relationship, because I believe life is about relationships. It's about community. It's about people. I think we were made for a relationship with God, relationship with each other, and to be able to understand forgiveness and give it and get it, and understand love and be able to work through those hurdles on your journey. And I just think that relationship aspect is probably my favorite part of it.
You guys mind if I join you?
Yeah.
Long time no see, Pop.
Yeah, I lost my appetite.
Yeah, I'll come by. Now that you're not there, this one won't let me in.
Yeah, I figured.
Why didn't you say anything?
Don't see why I'd waste my breath on this guy.
I heard you're doing real well on the football field this season, Zach.
Did you?
Yeah. In fact, rumor has it that you're going to shatter all my district records.
Yeah, no. I'm going to wipe your name off the record books. You can count on that.
This is really a roller coaster for these two young men on this story, coping with loss and tragedy.
Yes.
How do you cope with loss? People would probably say, well, you don't lose, but how do you cope with loss?
No, you definitely lose. It's, I've lost, a lot of things, whether it's been people I've been close to, whether it's been wish kids that I've loved and they've gone to heaven early, whether it's been not necessarily all your dreams going the way you want. But in the midst of it, what do we have to hold on to? Who do we have to hold on to? And when everything around us feels like it's shaken, who are we and whose are we? And I think that's what's important and that's what's special. And everybody's on their own journey and their own race, but there are some similarities and some ties and things we all go to, and that's fear and it's doubt and it's the unknown and it's are we good enough and it's are we loved and all these same questions that we all ask. And I think that's what Run the Race really touches on.
This story has been 12 years in the making for Mr. McIntyre.
Yes.
What do you think that says about this project? 12
oh my gosh,
years.
I think we're getting close to 13 now. I think it's something that has been on his heart, and it's part of his DNA. And for us, it's been about 7 years now since we first read the script. And we didn't know what we were doing. I've never been in this industry, or, where the heck do you start? We just knew it was a really good story, and we wanted people to hear it and see it. And so we just kind of started taking the next steps, and some by faith and some not knowing what we're doing and asking for help, and just one step, and we're grateful to end up here.
Hopefully you'll do it again.
Yes, sir.
Up next, tens of thousands of Christians are flooding one state from across America to praise and worship God. We'll tell you how they hope to win lives for Jesus Christ.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphan's Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Come home to the Southern Gospel Station from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites. CBN Southern Gospel. Available now at cbnradio.com.
More than 60,000 Christians will gather in Florida on Saturday to declare a new moment for evangelism. It's part of an event called The Send, a collaboration of national ministries that is urging the church to activate its missions and evangelistic calling. Organizers include Youth with a Mission, Christ for All Nations, and Lou Engle Ministries. Evangelist Francis Chan, Bill Johnson of Bethel, and others will speak at the rally. CBN News spoke with Lou Engle about what he hopes comes out of the event.
I'm believing for an encounter with God. We also are believing for a spiritual transfer and impartation from major leaders in the body of Christ. We're going to preach the gospel. We're believing for words of knowledge, and that will be a transfer of that mighty gift of Jesus to a new generation. We're believing for the presence of God to fill that place. Hopefully, all of our lives will be changed.
And if you happen to be in the Florida area, check it out. That's it for this edition of NewsWatch. You can find more news at cbnnews.com and can watch CBN News programs anytime on our CBN News channel. Have a great day, everyone.